In this video, I want to share my 30-step formula to launching a YouTube video. A few months ago, I passed 1,000 subscribers, and I did that producing a video once every 3 to 5 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, I've released 5 videos, and part of that is due to this launch formula. Now, if you're like me, you probably thought the hardest part of creating a YouTube video is recording and doing the editing. I find that to be the easiest part of the process. For me, the hardest part is everything that goes after I've done my initial recording and post-production. So I've got to take a video like the one that we've got here and send it to a video editor. I've just started getting a video editor involved, but that means I've got to write up a brief or record all the information to let that person know what I need to do. Along the way, I've got to create B-roll. So you'll see a lot of B-roll in the intro, what you're watching right now of my video, a lot in the outro, some will be in calls to action. Next thing I've got to do is figure out a compelling title, a thumbnail, the design I want for the thumbnail, the text that I'm going to put on the thumbnail. After that, I've got to do a whole lot of post analysis on the transcript. I need to work out what keywords, the chapters that need to go into the YouTube description. Is there any sort of branding or affiliate information I want to put in? I often like to share my videos on Twitter or LinkedIn. So how do I write the LinkedIn post? How do I write the tweet or any other social media post for that matter? I'm also often trying to do an analysis of the text for things like what was the topic, what might be the search terms. And if my video editor produces a YouTube short for me, I've got to go through the same process again. I've got to come up with a title. I've got to come up with a YouTube description. As a YouTuber that talks about prompt engineering and AI agents, you can imagine that I'm using these sort of technologies to automate my own problems. And the software I have is called Agent Workflow Builder. It's in development at the moment, but you can find a link in the description if you want to have early access to it. Otherwise, like and subscribe and let's get in. So let's have a look at the video we're going to launch, and we're here in a product called Gling. It's a pretty good video editing software that allows you to edit videos using just text. As we look through it, we've got areas of the screen that I've recorded using Ecamm Live, another product that I love to use. But if we go up to the intro, there's no graphics. It's just me in my living room at the moment. And this is an area that we're going to need to get some B-roll and put it behind. You would have noticed that I'm using a green screen for the intro so that I can make the B-roll look more effective than I've done in the past. Now let's have a look at the files that are involved. So we're currently in the launch optimizer, which is the video I'm recording right now, but we'll move up to the agent workflow intro, outro. And this was an ability to improve my intros and improve my outros based on the previous and the next videos. And when I recorded it, we have this video here. We have a whole lot of recordings that I'd done and put through that Gling video editor that we're talking about. There's also the idea of assets, which we're going to create as part of this particular process. And if we just open up the video, we can see that I have this 9-minute video. We've got the areas that I'm going to need to get the video editor to add B-roll, and then when we get into the video, he's going to have to do a whole lot of transitions and sound effects. Now, the most useful file in this particular workflow is the SRT file. What that is the subtext file. It's got all the words that I said, the time that I said them, and the sequence that they happened in. And that's going to be uploaded into the YouTube as the lower thirds. But we've also got a copy of it as just raw text, and we're going to take a copy of that because I'm going to run every process off this one transcript. So here's the workflow we're going to operate. It's the YouTube Launch Optimizer. It's based on a bunch of sections. There are currently 31 steps, and this keeps growing. So we'll work through the video preparation, building the chapters for the video, any B-roll suggestions that we need in the intro, outro, or elsewhere. We've got content analysis, like what's the theme, the keywords, the title and the thumbnail we'll work through, and then we're looking at the metadata, which is mostly the information that goes into the YouTube description. And lastly, we'll create a couple of social media posts. And what we can do is go straight into configuration, and I'm just going to go down to where the transcript is, and I'm going to paste all that information. Now I've come through and filled in a few other pieces of information I already know, a bunch of calls to action and information about my brand, but what I'd like to do is fill in the short title. So I have a prompt here that will use the transcript. If we look at what it's produced, we can see a bunch of short titles I could go with, and I looked through this, and for me I think that creating effective intros and outros is the best way to go. So I'm just going to add it into the workflow. Next, I want to get a summary of the transcript, and I often use that for tweets and other areas. So what I've done is created one. We're just going to copy it. I've read through it. It's quite accurate, and we can just come back, move on to the next step, and we'll just paste it in. After that, we'll try and create an abridgement, which is a similar sort of document, but with a little bit more depth to it and not a loss of facts. So the information that's coming through right now, we'll run the validation. I don't always do that because I tend to trust what comes through. I like to observe it because one of the things it does bring up is that there might not be as much information in the abridgement as in the transcript, and I can check it just to make sure there's nothing missing. So I'm glad I looked through this. Usually I don't have to worry about what's in here, but of the 10 items that are listed, 3 of them probably should be added into the abridgement. They'll make a lot of sense when I do the LinkedIn post, which usually uses the abridgement to figure out what to write. And it's things like number 6, the reverse engineering of the vidIQ strategy is probably an important thing to talk about. But other things like anecdotes and observations, they don't really make much sense in an abridgement because I don't really need them in the sort of documents and social content that I create. So we're just going to run this little prompt here and just make sure these additional pieces of information go into the abridgement. So I've just taken a copy of that information and I'm just going to update. My next step is to separate the intro and the outro from the transcript, and I've got a few different usages for it. The main one is the B-roll, but in the future I'd like to do an analysis of them to see whether they can be improved. So what I've got is a copy of this prompt just running through, and we've pulled out the intro here and we've pulled out the outro. Just going to and make sure it's in the outro section. We're looking at the video in Gling and we're seeing the intro that it's extracted, and we can see that they're the same. Hi, you are creating videos for YouTube. It's the same as what we got in Gling, and this goes all the way through to what would happen if I had a script pre-prepared, and we can see that there. And when I read this intro, this is clearly the same information. The problem I've got is that I need to get B-roll for everywhere from this section that we're seeing, but I also need it for this section. Linguistically, it's not the intro. So ChatGPT got the right information for me, but personally, I'm going to want this extra information as well. So I've just asked ChatGPT to add it. So we'll come over to the workflow. We'll put in the introduction. What we've done now is we've completed the video preparation area. We've configured, got the summary abridgement, we've checked the quality of it, separated the intro and the outro, and the last thing is I like to save an outcome note so that I've got all this information. Now, the next section in my workflow is finding and developing the chapters, and this is not an area that's working too well for me just yet, but I'm going to show you what I've got. So firstly, I want to find the chapters. So if we go over to the GPT that I've just run, we can see that we've got chap examples. These are headings that we could go with, and the words that were said at each point. I will use this as a baseline, and I definitely take a copy of it, but at the moment I'm still looking through my video trying to find the chapters. I've worked through the idea of using the SRT file as a way of figuring out timings and coming up with better terminology where it comes up with the times and simple names for chapters, but it doesn't work too well. I've also used all the tools out there, and so far I haven't found something that I like to use, but this is a problem that I'll solve over time, or I'll find a third-party tool. I'm just in my outcomes document. This is the information that ChatGPT came up with for me, and what I did was I watched the video on double time. It's a 9-minute video, and this took me about 15 to 20 minutes to do. So it's a bit of an arduous task just for chapters, but it's one of the things that I think from a quality point of view is really important to get right in your YouTube description. So I've broken it down into intros and outros the struggle that's mapping to this. And as I was going through, I was often using the headings for inspiration, but then rewriting them based on what I saw. So we'll take a copy of that. I'm just going to paste it into the chapters first. So I want to generate a bunch of B-roll for the intro and outro and other area, and I'm going to do that in Leonardo AI. And so we're in this section at the moment called the B-roll suggestions. We'll do the intro, outro, B-roll. We're also going to create a brief for the video editor so that he knows what to do. And we're also going to think about design style and transcript design ideas. So I've just come over to a GPT, which is in the middle of creating intros and outro graphics, but let's go to the top of it. We've got concepts. So the first idea is in the intro, we've got struggling with creating intros and outros for YouTube videos. That's something I talk about in the video. Increased video production quality after hiring an editor. This was just a statement that I made, and it might be useful to have that as B-roll in the background. And it's just developing different ideas that are visually appealing for all the sentences in the intro and the outro. After the intro, outro concepts that we've got here, we start seeing the prompts, and they're going to match. So number one, which is struggling with creating intros and outros for YouTube videos, are going to fit with 1A and 1B. I tend to create 2 prompts for each area. And we've got a frustrated content creator struggling with video editing, specifically focusing on intro and outro segments. And then we've got another one here, illustration of a YouTube creator puzzled by the intros and outros of videos. And that just repeats for all 6 concepts in the intro, and in this case there were 6 concepts in the outro, and we can use this over in Midjourney, or I like to use Leonardo AI. Now we're over in the personal feed of Leonardo AI, and I've generated about 96 images through here for both the intro and the outro. So if we look at these images here, we've got a YouTube creator with a mixture of anxiety, and what I've done is I've come over to my computer and I've downloaded and renamed every image, and we can see those particular images we were just talking about. Now, as I was doing this took me about 10 or 15 minutes just to rename the files. So when I got to the outro, I decided to automate that. Yesterday, I took an hour and a half out to create a video. In the middle of recording this video, I realized just how long it took me to rename the files, and I thought I'll show you a little automation. And what I did was I went straight to ChatGPT voice mode. It's a new feature that came in ChatGPT. I just had a conversation with it about how I could automate that, and it wrote the script for me in about 10 minutes. And then when I got all these files here, I didn't have to come through and manually rename them, and that was taking me 10 to 15 minutes to do that alone. Now, the next step I have is letting my video editor know what instructions I want. So I have these basic general instructions that I want worked on. We've got the intro and outro ideas, and then I just pass in the special instructions, chapters, and the intro outro ideas. And here's an example of what we got. We've got video editing brief for intros and outros. We got stuff around the intro, outro, the chapter breakdown so they know where to look at, particularly for transitions and maybe some B-roll graphics, extra special instructions, and CTA. Because one of the things I've found in the past is that I want the calls to action to look a little bit more impressive than other areas of the system, and it's about notifying the video editor of that requirement. Coming back to the B-roll images, you might have noticed that there's no design consistency going on. Everything looks pretty good individually, but as a collective in a video, it's not that great. So can we fix that? And that's what the next step is about. This is design style list. So with this particular prompt, we're trying to figure out if there's a look and feel that I want in the video. So coming over to ChatGPT, we've got 10 different styles. They're all based off the transcript that we just wrote and included. And the one that might look good could be the workflow mind map. We come and have a look at the next step, and this is about taking one of those ideas and any other special instructions and taking the original set of prompts and let's make them more the same stuff. Here I've said I want to use workflow mind map style, but every time you do it, I need the words agent workflow builder in quotes. Now I'm just saying that because that's what this software is. It's agent workflow builder. If you're looking at a way of automating any standard operating procedure, in this particular case it's a YouTube launch sequence, then maybe check out the link in the description below. Now heading over to GPT, we can see that list of files have come through. The fourth item in this CSV file is the prompt, and one of the things that you'll notice is that the word agent workflow builder is built into all of these. So I've just taken 3 prompts from that list, and let's just look at a couple of them. So here we've got the word agent workflow builder, not very legible, but it's there. In this particular version, we've got more agent workflow builder as part of a sign, which is interesting. Here it becomes very clear, and I'm actually loving these ones so much so that I might end up downloading them and using in the video because they're very professional. Now, we still haven't quite got the style right between them all because I didn't put a lot of effort into that. Now, to see a good example of this image consistency in action, you can see a video I released yesterday on my other channel, AI TLDR. This channel is about AI technology, but it's done creating by using AI technology to create it. And the clue is to do less, or clueless, is a little coding language that I'm creating to allow me to create videos really quickly. If you want to find out more about that, check out the link in the description. Or if you just want to see a great example of consistent storyboards, come out and check this video on AI TLDR. Now what I want to do is get content analysis out of the transcript. We've got the essence, the audience engagement, and the call to action plus competitors. If we look at the first one, we're going to identify the main topic and theme, and we've got 3 other points that we look into. I repeat that for the audience engagement and the calls to action and competitors. And if we go and have a look at things, we've got a main topic, so it's figured that out. This is an important piece of information I use to steer different articles and tweets and that I create. We've got keywords that could be useful in the YouTube description. There could be important statistics. You might want to communicate this to your video editor so that they highlight it during the video creation. Same thing with the key take. I have a section here on the audience engagement. We've got emotional triggers, overall tone, style, audience insights. So far, I haven't used this a whole lot. And you can see, because I'm very dry in my delivery, there's a lot in here that I could take into future videos. But if we go down the bottom, we've got all the calls to action and maybe search terms that you can use around this topic. We've now moved into the next phase, which is creating the thumbnails, the text that goes on the thumbnail, and the title of the video. So what we'll do is I'm going to start off with just a short idea for a title that I came up right at the beginning of this session, and I'm just going to throw in the main topic as described in the last content analysis phase. Now, in the past, I've used something as simple as this and some keywords. I just take it a little bit further. Sometimes I'll also use the transcript or the transcript summary, but I find just knowing the topic theme, here we've got some content highlights. We'll just paste them in and we'll just run the prompt related to that, and we're getting a bunch of YouTube titles coming through. Now, I can usually work something a little bit manual from this. I don't always go exactly what's here. Sometimes I'll run it again, but I find this a pretty effective way of getting my first draft of a YouTube title. Next, I want to get the text that goes on our thumbnail. Now, if you look at the thumbnails I currently do, you'll see that there's different areas of text, and there's also a title that they're related to. What I try to do is something that contrary. The words on the thumbnail just need to be a little bit different to the words on the title. You don't need to say the same thing twice. We've got a prompt here that will take the title that we're going to go with. I've decided on automate intros and outros for better continuity between videos. I've also listed all the others because there's probably good wording in here that we can do a contrary point of view on. We've also got the theme and the content highlights available. We've had 5 engaging thumbnail text ideas based on the provided information, and I'm just going to increase it by another 5. The things that I'm looking for are the parts, the 1, 2, and 3, where there's usually really good words that can be taken from here and used on the thumbnail. Next, I want to format this information so I can bring it directly into Canva, take the table that we've got here and rerun it again, this time in a CSV format. And I'll just use the bulk image upload within Canva to see all these text elements. Come over to Canva and I've got a template that I've pre-designed and I've just uploaded the CSV file and we can see them all listed here. So then when I generate 10 designs, what we're going to see is different combinations of text based on different title ideas and concepts. And I can just click through these, and if there's any words that I want to use, just use it in my thumbnail template. At this point, I generate a template just to get started. We've got a few different designs we can work with, different images of me that I can add to the system, some examples that I've done in the past. And one of the things that I'll do near the front is I'll drag any images that we're about to generate. I've dragged in some images into this, and we can see that the prompt that I used took the title, the content highlights, and the title ideas. And from there, we've generated this extracted information about the theme, the highlight, the power of automation. But the main thing going on is that there's an area for different prompts. So we can look at the robotic arm. If we go further down, we can look at the large clock with the fast moving hair. So here we have our robot with the intro and the outro. And if we go to the top, we've got our clock with the fast moving hands. We've got YouTube variations of it as well. Now we just finished the setup for the titles, the thumbnail elements, the text that goes onto them. The next thing that I have to do when publishing a video is getting the YouTube description. And one of the things I'm going to need are the keywords. Now we have a bunch of keywords that we found during the content analysis phase. We've also got the title that we're using and the abridgement. Now I've gone on that prompt and we can see here are struggling to create smooth intros and outros in your YouTube videos. So we have this basic sort of description. Now, how does that fit with a regular YouTube description? If we look at one of the videos I've already done in the past, you can see there's many areas of the YouTube description, including keywords, affiliate links, branding, social media. But the section we just generated would be this area here. It's the basic idea of what the video is meant to be about. Let's move on and build the rest of this. So we'll come back to the description, take a copy of it, and we'll move on to the writing of the description where we've got a whole lot of extra information that I just talked about. We'll just paste in the simple YouTube description. You can see above we've got the chapters and all that, and make a copy of what we've got here. And I'll just paste it into ChatGPT. You can also use Anthropic if you want, and it'll start generating a more detailed YouTube description. Now, I haven't uploaded this video yet, so I can't put it into YouTube, but what you can see over here on the left is the original text, and we got it visualized on the right. And this first area is something to look at, mainly because this is the stuff that goes above the fold. And what that means is that when someone's looking at a video but they haven't opened up the description, everything above the fold should be the high priority. So one of the things that I've done here is had a link to an opt-in for one of my e-products, or sometimes I'll use the buy me a coffee link. And then when they expand the description, there might be another high level opt-in that you want to have, plus the rest of the information comes down in the appropriate order. Now this is an evolving system, so there's other steps here that I'm not currently using, like the pinned comments, but they'll come over time. But let's move into the last phase. And the last phase is, how are you going to share the YouTube video? Are you going to share it with LinkedIn? Are you going to write a Medium article or maybe a tweet? Now, the ones I do generally at the moment are tweets and LinkedIn articles. So we'll just go straight in and have a look at them. We're in the social media post phase, and we can see for creating a tweet that I need the title of the video. We've got some keywords that can be used, and basically a summary, which is a bit smaller than the transcript or the abridgement. And we'll paste in a link. Now, I haven't uploaded the video, so this is just one of my other videos for now. And we'll move through to the LinkedIn post. Information here is exactly the same, though I like to use the abridgement because it's more detailed than the summary. Here we have 5 tweets that are being created. We've got the information that's related to the video, keywords, and then we've got the link at the bottom. You can pick one of the ones you want or rewrite them as you see fit. As we scroll down, you'll also see that there's a LinkedIn post being generated, and it'll be way more detailed. It's not based on the summary, it's based on the abridgement. It'll have the video at the end. And the way they can look is that we've got different tweets that we've been able to put out in the past. And if we go over to the LinkedIn posts, you'll see a bunch of LinkedIn posts that I get a lot of engagement from, and this is, I find, a great way to send traffic back to the YouTube channel. So there you have my extensive launch sequence. This is everything I do to get a video released and up onto YouTube and published. This takes about 30 steps, and in the past I used to take 3 to 5 weeks to get a video out. I'm now down to about 1 or 2 videos a week, and it's GPT workflows like this that help me. So if you're interested in the Agent Workflow Builder, there's a link in the description. It's software that I'm building and will make available soon. I'm Abby Dave. I do videos generally on GPT, prompt engineering, and this agent workflow tool that I'm building. Please like and subscribe, or click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. That's one of the ways that funds this particular channel and the content that I'm creating. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.